and then get started. Whoever knows the prayer, please get started. Om Jnana-timirandhasya Jnananjana-shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namah Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayam Dadati Swakadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Padkamlam Shri Vishnu Vaishnavascha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunathānvitam Satam Sajivam Sadhavetam Savadutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakhanvitam Cha He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dīnabandhu Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute तप्त कांचन गौरांगी राधे वृंदावनेश्वरी वृषभानुसुते देवी प्रणमामि हरिप्रिये मुखं करोति वाचालं पंगुं लंघयते गिरिं यत्कृपातमहं वन्दे श्रीगुरुदीनतारिणं परमानंद माधवं श्रीकृष्ण चैतन्य ईश्वरं वाञ्छाकल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपासिन्धुभ्य एव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः. Hare Krishna. So, I'm assuming that everyone is familiar with Bhagavad Gita. It's Bhagavad Gita translates to Song of the Lord, right? This consists of 700 verses. This is Bhagavad Gita. This is the paperback version of Bhagavad Gita as it is, written by His Divine Grace, Srila A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada. Okay, this is his commentary, his narration on Bhagavad Gita. So Bhagavad Gita has 700 verses. This was spoken by Krishna to Arjuna on the battlefield. Okay, and just to give you the premises of this, I know that kids may not be familiar. Some of the kids may not be familiar. Is that basically there is a battle going to happen between two parties? Okay, they are brothers or sort of cousins, Kauravas and Pandavas. Okay. And one of the foremost Pandavas, or one of the five brothers, is Arjun, who was one of the main warriors in that war, on the side of Pandavas, on the side of righteousness, on the side of dharma. Okay, and Krishna is driving his chariot, and Arjuna, who was going to win that battle for his brother, for the Pandavas, he became very confused at the beginning of the war. Confused as in he was not sure whether he should fight this battle or not. He was not sure what is the purpose of this war. Why are we fighting it at all? What will this accomplish? And if this is going to be somehow sinful, if he's committing some kind of a crime or sin by killing so many people, because this was like a fratricidal war. Fratricidal war means that he's going to kill his, opposite him, there are standing his teachers, his grandparents, people that are equivalent to his parents and his in-laws and whatnot. So he really did not want to kill all these relatives and friends and family members if he didn't have to. So he gets confused and asks Krishna, why are we fighting this battle? I'm confused about this. Is this really my duty? Is this really dharma? Am I really on the side of dharma? So he asks some questions, and this is a conversation going on between Krishna and Arjun. Okay, so the scene is battlefield because if you are familiar with, in our lifetime, like I'm 40-something-year-old, in our lifetime we have seen so many wars have been going on, right? We know, and wars can be very intense, a lot of loss of life and limbs and whatnot. Very intense time. Krishna chose this intense time because he wanted Arjun to pause. Yes, there is a lot going on. There is a lot about to happen. There is going to be a lot of bloodshed, a lot of massacre going to happen. But I want you to pause and reflect on your purpose, okay? Reflect on why we are doing anything, why we do anything in life, what is our goal of life. So he gives this whole knowledge, okay? So this whole knowledge of Bhagavad Gita is basically, this is the conclusion of our Vedic scriptures. This is considered the summary or the essence of Vedas. Okay? Bhagavad Gita tells you how to live your life, who you are, what is your goal here, okay? Where do we have to go? Who is God? What is our connection with the God? And what is this world? And what are the various forces that keep us in this world, okay? I'm just giving a very quick summary for the benefit of people that may not know, but hopefully Sorry, I moved that thing in now. So this is the, whoever has not read Bhagavad Gita, it's something that one should read over and over again through their life, because every time you read, you will see that you will get new realizations. Okay, this knowledge is not like our, let's say, our medical knowledge or knowledge of this physical material world. Okay, this is spiritual knowledge, which means Krishna, as you make an effort to read and understand him, try to develop a relationship with him, Krishna reveals more and more to you with every reading. Okay, so you go deeper and deeper into the depths of this wisdom. Okay? And then if you start applying this knowledge, you will see wonderful transformations start happening in your, most importantly, in your mindset. Okay. So the reason I'm bringing you towards mind. Okay. Because that's my main topic today, about mind. Okay. As you saw, the topic was the power of perception dealing with dualities. Okay. So perceptions, what is perception and what is it coming from? Okay, it is coming from our mind. There are two topics that are very important in Bhagavad Gita. One is mind control and the other is dealing with duality. Actually, when I was preparing for this class, I made a list of all the verses where Krishna talks about dealing with dualities. He gives us some expectations. He says that in my devotees or in yogis or in spiritualists, people that are following this wisdom, I want them to be very equipoised, meaning they should not get baffled when ups and downs of life come. Okay. So so duality means? So I'm going to give you a definition of these two words and tell you how mind connects both of these. Okay. So dualities basically means, in Hindi we call it dvandva, okay, which means ups and downs of life. Okay. So in this world, there will always be ups and downs. That this world is a world of dualities. This physical world will always give you ups and downs. Okay, it will never be just straight line. Ups and downs means, let's say, success and failure, right? Losses and gains, health and sickness, poverty and wealth, like that. So ups and downs, right? Something good, something bad. There will always be tides and troughs, right? Ups and downs. That's called dualities. Okay, so before we go further, what is the role of mind with these dualities? Okay, so let's read some verses. I actually really wanted to read all those verses that I had collected. I wanted everyone to recite those verses I have collected. I don't think we'll have time, but if we do, I have a separate document to recite all of them. But let's start with reading 3 verses. Okay, from 6th chapter of Bhagavad Gita, which is called Dhyan Yoga. Dhyan Yoga basically means controlling your mind, sitting in dhyan, sitting in with focused mind, concentrating on the Lord, concentrating on his form, on his names. So that's Dhyan Yoga, meaning with your mind, you're connecting to the Lord. Yoga means connecting to the Lord, and Dhyan means with your mind, sitting in absorption with your mind, contemplating on the Lord, right? That's Dhyan Yoga. So in this chapter, Arjun asks Krishna, you are asking me to focus on you, focus on your names, forms, whatnot. But mind is very difficult to control. He says mind is very chanchal. So he says, Chanchalam hi mana Krishna pramati balvadridam tasyaham nigraham mane vayur eva sudushkaram. He says, I can control the wind with my arrows, but I cannot control the mind. We all have this problem, right? We cannot control our mind. It keeps getting distracted. It keeps, even, these days it is said that our attention span in Kali Yuga has reduced to like 8 seconds. So like sitting in this class, you will see, if you really watch your mind, it'll keep going to other things, right? To your phone or to something else, some other task that's pending, or to-do list, or some family member, or something going on in the body, whatnot. So mind has very limited focus, okay? So Arjun says, I don't know how to control it. But Krishna teaches him that you have to control it by training it with practice and with detachment, okay? He says you have to train it. So then he says a few things. These are some verses that I want you to recite. Let's recite these and read their translations. He says, बन्धुरात्मात्मनस्तस्य येनात्मेवा आत्मना जिता अनात्मानस्तु शत्रुत्वे वर्तेतात्मेव शत्रुवत्. For him who has conquered the mind is the best of friends. But for one who has failed to do so, his mind will remain the greatest enemy. Please lock this verse in your mind. Okay? Mind can be best of friends or worst of enemy. Okay? You got this point. Then he says, Jitatmana prashantasya parmatma samahita shitoshna sukha dukkheshu tatha man apamanayo. For one who has conquered the mind, the super soul is already reached. Super soul is Paramatma. For he has attained tranquility, means peace. To such a man, happiness and distress. Now we're talking about dualities. To such a man, happiness and distress, heat and cold, honor and dishonor are all the same. So I told you I will give you the link between mind and dualities. So Krishna is saying, if you have conquered your mind, then you will not be disturbed by these things going on in the world. Okay, in the world, there will be ups and downs like happiness and distress, heat and cold, honor and dishonor. And a person who has control of their mind, they will always be peaceful. They'll be very even keel. They'll be very tranquil, very sober, very composed in any of these situations. Whether any duality comes, he will be calm and composed. And for such a person, the super soul is already reached. If your mind is not getting distracted, because why is our mind getting distracted? By these problems, right? If you treat all these problems the same, will you be able to focus on Paramatma? Yes, right? Because you're not disturbed anymore. So Krishna says, so the first step is to control your mind, then I will already be reached. Super soul is already reached. And he will be able to treat all these dualities the same. I will give you many, many examples during this class. And I have decided to take examples from our modern world. I have some examples from scriptures, but I feel from previous feedback from various classes that people relate more to the modern examples than to the scriptural examples. So we'll take our various celebrities, sports stars or athletes or politicians or various American heroes from within last 100 years of American history, okay? And then we'll see how they have applied these concepts of Bhagavad Gita, okay? How they have controlled their mind and what does duality, how they deal with dualities and how their perception is about it, okay? What does perception mean? 3 words here, perception, duality, and mind. Okay, then he says, a person is said to be established in self-realization and is called a yogi when he is fully satisfied by virtue of acquired knowledge and realization. Such a person is situated in transcendence, self-control. He sees everything. So here again, he sees everything, whether it be pebbles, stones, or gold, as the same. So meaning he does not differentiate between people. It's all the same to him, right? Pebbles, stones, gold, all the same. Things, people, events, situations in life, problems, whatever. Everything is same to him. A person is considered still further advanced when he regards honest well-wishers, affectionate benefactors, the neutral, the mediators, the envious, friends and enemies, the pious and sinners, all with an equal mind. So he's saying basically treating such a person who has a controlled mind is treating all these people the same, all these obstacles, problems, dualities the same, all situations and events the same. So he will be very peaceful, very tranquil. So let's see what the I didn't have Navya today to do my animation, so I messed it up. So just go by the flow chart. So, okay, let's look at this. Can you see my arrow? Yes. No. Oh, can you?
No, nobody else.
You can't see it? Can you do it? Okay, so we decided that in this world there will be dualities. There'll be ups and downs. You agree? Okay. So mind, what is the role of mind in this? Why is Krishna talking about treating all these, the person who has a controlled mind will be able to treat these problems same. Our mind decides how we respond in these situations, okay? So our mind decides how we see a particular situation, okay? And that response is called perception, okay? So please understand the role of mind in context of dualities. Our mind decides how to perceive a situation, okay? Some people may see, so let's say a problem happened, something negative happened. In this world, we have been drilled into our brain that this particular situation is negative. Let's say I lose money. Okay, I lose money from my bank. Somebody stole it. Somebody stole $100,000. In my brain, it has been drilled. My perception has been developed that it is a very bad thing to happen. It is a very negative thing to happen, right? So my mind will respond in a very agitating way, right? My mind will get very anxious, very agitated. It will, I will be angry, I will be anxious, I'll be fearful, I may be crying. So a lot of emotions, lots of unnecessary thoughts will be there, right? So this is the mind of an uncontrolled person. This is how they will respond to this situation. But the mind of a yogi or a wise man or a learned man in the same situation, how will his mind perceive the situation? He will perceive it differently. He will say, okay, so maybe I need to learn a lesson here. Maybe I was spending my money. I was very extravagant with it. Maybe I was not, maybe I need to pick up some extra shifts, work a little bit harder. Maybe I need to save more. Maybe I need to be more frugal. Maybe I was loaning it to people that did not respect it. And so Krishna took it away from me. So maybe I need to be more mindful of how I invest or spend my money. Maybe I was just investing it whimsically or whatnot, right? So this person will say, okay, let me regroup, let me regather and see what I can do about this situation. So he has a different perception. He will withdraw back, he will reflect on what he did wrong, and he will try to fix that situation to the extent that's possible. But he will learn a lesson from it. He will take this as an opportunity to improve, to grow, to transform, and that's how he will proceed. Whereas another person, ordinary person who has an uncontrolled mind, I'm just giving an example, some very relatable example here. So this is the example of a perception, negative versus positive perception, good versus bad perception. But if you listen to people around you, if you listen to your mind, if you listen to the world's lessons, world has taught us that this is a very bad thing to happen. This is very negative. You should be very disturbed. You should be very agitated, very angry, do all kinds of things possible, right? So we will get very agitated and anxious in that situation. So this what perception means, how the mind responds to a situation. So these are some quotes I have. Perception is a mirror, not a fact. What I look on is my state of mind reflected outward. So that's why it is said, मनस्थिति को बदलो, परिस्थिति को नहीं बदल सकते, right? Paristhiti means is an external situation that cannot be changed. That will be same for everybody. Everybody will deal with some ups and downs of life. How they respond to that situation, how their mind decides to resolve that situation is the perception of that person. So perception is a mirror of our own mind state. If your mind is calm and controlled, if you can rein your mind, then it's in your control and you will decide how to respond to that situation. Okay. So we have to fix our mental state, basically, our perceptions. And then here she's saying, we don't see things as they are, we see them as we are. Okay, so a thing is a thing. An event is neither good or bad. A situation, a person, an event, problem, it's neither good nor bad. It just happens. Okay, we make it good or bad. We decide, our mind decides for us that this is good, this is bad. We put labels on things, and by labeling it, we respond in a negative or positive way to certain things. Okay, so this is the basis of this talk. Okay, so then what happens is, so now you have a perception. Let's say you have a bad perception to a situation. Your perception is this is a very negative situation. This is horrible, disturbing thing to happen. So then your attitude will be that I'm very agitated, I'm very aggrieved, very aggravated, right? Angry. So you will take an action which is not very appropriate. You will not respond to that situation appropriately. Maybe you will commit a crime, maybe you will commit a sin, maybe you will rage and attack people or be furious or something like that, right? Become over emotional, whatnot. So your action will be objectionable, will be improper, right? It will be negative. But if somebody has a proper perception, they will have a very thoughtful action, very proper response. They may reflect on the problem and act accordingly. So they will act, not act out. Most people will act out, right? The other people that are learned people that have control of their mind, they will act thoughtfully, not act out. Okay. So this is a very beautiful verse from Chaitanya Charitamrita. It says, I really love this verse. This decides everything for me. It says, Dvaite bhadra bhadra jnana sabha mano dharma ei bhala ei manda ei sab brahma. Dvaite bhadra abhadra jnana. Dvaite means, what is Dvaite means? Duality. Dvaite means duality. Bhadra abhadra. This is auspicious, this is inauspicious. Saba manodharma. This is all concocted by your mind. Okay, this is created by your mind that this is good, this is bad. Okay, these labels are put on by your mind because mind has been trained by the world. Mind has been trained by people who like to disturb. Right, the world likes to disturb. So what happens is we have these perceptions: the a bhala, a manda, a inauspicious, a auspicious. Right, a bhala, a manda, a sab brahma. This is all illusion. Okay. So actually, everything that happens in this world, all these situations, they're all temporary, right? They're all fickle. They come and go. They're all an illusion. To the real soul, to the soul, to the real self, is anything happening? Nothing is happening to it. Okay? Whatever is happening to the body. But we are perceiving that something good or bad is happening to me. It's not, right? It's just an illusion created by your mind that this is good, this is bad. This will pass. This is temporary. It's fickle. Success will also pass, and failure will also pass. Right? Victory will pass, and today in this game you're victorious, and the next game you will lose. So this is the cycle in this world. And then this is from Srimad Bhagavatam, very famous verse. This is said by Avanti Brahman in the 11th canto. He says, Dvija Uvacha. Dvija is Avanti Brahman. Dvija means Brahman. Nayam jano me sukha dukha hetur na devatatma griha karma kala mana param karanam mamananti samsara chakram parivartayat. Brahman said, these people are not the cause of my happiness and distress. You may think that this person is causing me problem. Neither are the demigods, the deities, the superior, controllers. They are not the cause. My own body is also not the problem. The planets, they are not the problem. My past work, matlab karma, is not the problem. Time, kal chakra, kala is not a problem. Na devatatma griha karma kala. Okay, they are not giving me sukha dukha. What is giving me sukha and dukha is the perception of sukha and dukha, which is created by mind. It is the mind alone that causes happiness and distress and perpetuates the rotation of material life. So we are stuck in the cycle of birth and death because our mind makes us feel happiness and distress. Think about some, and I have examples here, but it said about great devotees, sufferings come to everyone, okay? But it is optional to suffer, okay? Everybody will have suffering come to them, but whether you suffer or not is optional. Why? Because devotees or yogis or learned people, their mind is so controlled they do not suffer. Okay, so sufferings come, but they're even keel, they're stable, steady, and do not suffer. They're calm, composed, poised. So this is the basically perception is what? It's the noise created by the mind. If something happens, an accident happens, something happens, mind creates this noise. Oh no, why did this happen to you? Or somebody says something, how dare this person say something like that to me, right? So this victim mentality, right? Oh my God, why am I suffering? Or blaming others, right? This person is the problem. This unnecessary emotions, this feeling of depression, dejection when something bad happens, this is created by mind. This is unnecessary noise created by mind. Okay, similarly, when something goes good, when something happens well, when you are, let's say, successful, right? I wrote success, but you can replace that with anything the world calls positives, so-called positives of this world, right? Triumph, victory, whatever, riches, you can say, health. So what does that lead to? Now the mind says, oh, you are the best, you are the boss. It becomes proud and arrogant and supplements our ego, augments our ego, right? You are the doer, you are doing this. So that doership mentality, the enjoy mentality comes, okay? The entitlement, what is called entitlement, that I'm the center of everything, that comes, right? People become very proud, like nothing can happen without me. So that happens when there is, again, it's the noise created by the mind. Okay, this we will come to later. Now, what that verse was basically saying that in this body, we are the soul is accompanied by super soul or Paramatma. And when mind creates all this noise, we cannot hear the guidance of the or instructions of the Paramatma. We cannot, right? So a problem happens. Mind has created so much conflict that we cannot hear the guidance, the instructions of the Paramatma. That's why Krishna was saying that first of all, control your mind, become even keel, become equanimous, become equipoised in different problems, and then super soul is reached. Otherwise, super soul's guidance is being muffled by all this noise created by the mind. So basically, the word is perception, and what does perception means? How mind makes us see a situation, right? So, and this perception is very powerful. Okay. So we have to train our mind. It is a training. Okay. It is a very strict training. Like you have to do this on a daily basis. When something good happens, bad happens, you have to train your mind to not make that noise, to not become overjoyous when something good happens, and to not become depressed and anxious and fearful when something bad happens. You have to train that every day. And Krishna says that by practice, we can reach there where mind stops making this noise, because you're suppressing the mind. You are in control of it. Okay. So let's come to some stories. Hopefully, kids will like this. So this is Reuben Carter. He was called Hurricane. He was a middleweight boxing champion. I'll give you example of some dualities these people went through. Okay. So he was in 1960s in America. Okay. So you know that in 50s, 60s, there was a lot of racism. There was, it's hard for a black person. So a lot of my stories are centered around black people or women. So please, the reason is that these people, they have a disadvantage, a bodily disadvantage, right? Women or black people, especially in 50s and 60s or 1920s, it was hard for them to come up in this world. It was hard for them to be successful in their field. So they had to. So if they were successful, if they were accomplished, if they were doing something better than the other people, then that's because they were applying some principle of Bhagavad Gita in their life, right? So we have a lot to learn from these people. Now, I'm not saying you become like these people. I'm not saying their life is exemplary. I'm saying this particular portion of their life, this particular principle that they depicted in their life is very, very exemplary for us. Okay, we can learn from everybody. So Reuben Carter, he was at the peak of his boxing career in 1960s, which was a big feat for a black person at that time. So at that time, it happened, he was wrongly accused of a very heinous crime, a very horrific crime. And this completely wrongly accused of a triple homicide. And there was a trial, and it was a completely bogus trial because the jury consisted of just like older white men, and they convicted him to life sentence in the jail. Okay. So he went to the jail. So this was a great fall for somebody who was so successful, right? Complete reversal from success and fame and everything. So very, very bleak situation, right? But he did not break down. Okay. He decided, so now there are movies about him, there are books about him, you can read about him, there are interviews about him. So he said, I decided they have taken away my physical freedom. That's all they can do. But they cannot take away my thoughts, my beliefs. Okay. I'm not powerless. I'm not completely powerless. Okay. I have choices. Okay. They cannot take away my attitude, my reaction to a particular situation. So I'm going to decide how I react in this degrading situation. Okay. So he decided, I'm not going to be treated like a prisoner or act like a prisoner. From the moment he stepped in the prison till the day he got out, which was 19 years, every minute, okay, all his energy he used in just learning and improving and growing. He made a legal case for himself. He studied all the law books on how, if the trial happens again, how would I fight my case. He hired different lawyers. Okay, he read all the religious books and philosophy books and scriptures and histories and whatnot, and most importantly, law books to make his case very strong. And then finally, another trial happened. And when this next trial happened, nobody could stand against him because he was a force to reckon with, right? So he used this opportunity, he used this bad situation, this extreme reversal, this extreme adversity to create an improved version of himself, right? He came out a better, improved, transformed man. And then when he came out, it's not like he decided, okay, let me sue the court, or let me, for this wrongful conviction, maybe I should get some money from them, or I should, he was not, there were no outbursts from him, there were no protests from him, there was no, he did not try to do anything aggressive or rebellious, or, raise his voice against him. He just merged back into his life again. He just, and he was a better man, and he was improved. He just entered back into his life. He simply resumed his life. He did not even ask for an apology. He said, I mean, I don't want anything. So this is something to learn here. His perception, anybody else in this situation would have broken down, right? They would have blamed, they would have cried. What mind would have made them do was bring their victim mentality out, that you are the victim and everybody is persecuting you, right? So you should lash out, right? Everybody else would have lashed out. He did not lash out. He said, what are my choice? What can I do about it? Let me see what is my next task at hand. He said, okay, let me learn about this. Let me read about this. Why did this happen to me? And what can I do to fix it? So he used this as an opportunity to grow. Okay. So this is the power of perception. It can either break you or make you. So he decided they cannot break me. Okay. I will not let them break me, but I'll make myself. So in this way, so basically, you have to decide in every situation, what story do you allow your mind to tell yourself? Okay. Perception is a story that mind tells you. Okay. So what story are you telling? Like I was saying before, situation is not good or bad. Our judgment, our story about it is what makes it good or bad, right? To one person, that situation may be negative, like for anybody else, any ordinary person in this situation would have broken down, but he used it as a positive. And every situation for such learned people is a chance to learn something new, to grow, to transform. So you have choice. You can either blame, you can play victim, you can be angry, very anxious, very depressed, very fearful, or you can improve, right? And remember that everything is temporary. Who is this? Balram, right? A great reversal in his life, isn't it? He was going to be crowned the king of Ayodhya, and the next day instead he had to go in exile for 14 years. So it's very again very negative situation from material standpoint, from worldly standpoint, from what the world tells us. You've been refused the throne, and now you have to live in the jungle without any resources. You don't have any of the opulences of your palace. But what did Lord Ram do? He did not even flinch when he was told. When he was told that he's going on exile, it was the same. Whether he becomes a king or go on exile, it was one and the same for him, right? Because learned people, what they do is they look for silver lining. Always look for silver lining. And what else they do? Always look for service. Wherever you go, whatever situation there may be, there is always a chance to serve. You can always serve. So he looked for it. He said, okay, I can go, I can, serve these sages that are living in the forest. Remember the Dandakaranya forest and all these other forests were infested with demons, with asuras. And they would create disturbance for sages. So he killed all these demons, right? And then he associated with those sages. He learned from them. He spent time with them. So he took it as an opportunity to spend time with the sages, to kill the demons, to get rid of Ravan's terror, Ravan's reign of terror, and then he spent time with Mother Sita. So in Chitrakoot, there are such beautiful pastimes of Lord Ram with Mother Sita. So he used that as an opportunity to just do some service, to learn, to spend time with sages, with his consort and whatnot. So there is always a silver lining. There is always a service we can perform. And I really love this quote. It says, you never want a serious crisis to go to waste. So this actually is said in relation to Obama. So when Obama in 2008 was running for the presidency, you probably remember in Becoming, Michelle Obama has mentioned this particular incident, where his previous pastor came out with some disturbing, basically manufactured incident about Obama. Okay, and that was going to seriously affect his chances at presidency, right? That was his first term. So at that time,
Obama twisted that. Okay, he used that particular crisis. It was a crisis situation. He used that crisis situation, and instead of hiding away from it, he spoke about it. He actually used that particular allegation of the pastor to teach people about racism, to teach people about whatever the conflict was. So he actually used that as a preaching, endeavor. And that speech was so successful that actually it locked the election for him, that this is it. He's going to be the next president. So in relation to that, it's often said you never want a serious crisis to go to waste. So actually, when there is a serious crisis, there is something very good that you can do out of it. You can get out of it. So always look for what can we get out of this. Parikshit Maharaj, of course, some of you may be familiar. He was given death sentence, right, for a very small crime. He was awarded death sentence by this child. But what did he use that situation for? To manifest Srimad Bhagavatam for us. So in 7 days, 7 nights, he heard Srimad Bhagavatam, and that's how we got Srimad Bhagavatam. So his last 7 days, basically his death sentence has become the source of Srimad Bhagavatam for us. So again, never let a serious crisis go to waste, right? Then Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita, okay, coming back to Bhagavad Gita, so Krishna says that whatever happens, right, whatever all these dualities are happening, they're just because of your perception. They're non-permanent, they're temporary. So they're like seasons. They come and go. They're like winters and summers, they come and go. So just deal with it, right? Just tolerate it. He really wants us to tolerate. So if you have a mind that's controlled, then we will be able to tolerate it. We'll just, okay, just it's in the stride of, take it in your stride, right? Just deal with it. So what does Krishna say here? 2.14. Who can recite? Yes. So I think he also said, somebody also said that verse. Okay, I'll give you another example. Okay, who is familiar with Amelia Earhart? I know kids would be familiar, right? Okay, wonderful. So she was a great, what was she? Pilot, aviator, right? So she was the first woman aviator, right? But again, this is 1920s, so this is even further back. And you know that women were not given any, they were considered very frail and fragile, and there is no way they are capable of flying a plane. And she wanted to fly a transatlantic flight. So transatlantic flight is a big deal, right? So women's suffrage had just barely started, maybe in 1800, like last decade of 1800. So there was no way anybody was speaking up for women at that time, right? So she was working as a social worker. But one day the phone rang and she was told that she has an opportunity to go on a transatlantic flight. Okay, they have found a sponsor. Somebody is ready to fund this transatlantic flight, but it was a very offensive offer actually. The offer was very like lowly type of opportunity. Okay, anybody else would have declined it. What was the offer? It was that you can fly the transatlantic flight. You will not fly it. Two men will sit with you. One of them will fly it. Okay. Of course, they were not as good as her. And they will be your chaperones. Okay. Their passage will be paid. You will have to pay your own. Okay. And still, there is no guarantee of living through this flight. Okay. Some very low offer where she is not even allowed to fly the plane. Okay. And she agreed to that. She said yes. So what was her perception about this? What would be a normal person's perception about this? A normal person would be like, what? They'll scoff at this, right? How dare they? Like, well, I'm such a great pilot, and you're saying that this other person is going to fly the plane, and I have to pay for my own passage, and they will be funded, and I will not be. And what kind of offer is this? This is not anything. I don't want this, right? Anybody else would have rejected it, but she accepted it. So what was her perception of the situation? Her perception was that let me get my foot in the door, right? Let me make use of this opportunity. It is a low, poor opportunity, but let me make some contacts. Let me get in the door, right? And that opened doors for her. And within 5 years, she flew the solo transatlantic flight, and she was the first woman to fly the transatlantic flight. And she became the most successful aviator till date in the history of, in the American history, or in the world international history. So basically, what is our mind telling us about a situation, right? Our mind can make our ego very, can augment our ego, right? That how dare somebody do this or say this to me? Like, I'm the best, I'm the topmost, and they are giving me this degraded offer, right? Whereas her mind was, no, it's okay, calm down, relax, let's think about it. Maybe this is okay to do for now, right? Because I'm not, what choice do I have? I don't have any other choices right now. This is at least an opportunity, even though a very horrible one. Still, it's an opportunity. So she did not turn up her nose. Anybody else would have turned up their nose, right? And so this is basically, again, look for a chance to act. Look for a chance to what is the next task I can do. So that's what that Regan Carter in that first story also did. What is my next task at hand? What can I do about this, right? I cannot, I've been sentenced, a life sentence on here. I cannot change that conviction. I cannot change that decision. But what is in my hand? What can I do, right? We look for that. Similarly, she also saw, if I reject, what will I do? I'll still keep working as a social worker. That's not enough. So, okay, let me do this. So this is the next task, at least, next action that I can perform, right? So this was her choice, right? Our perception decides our actions. If you have a wrong perception, very horrible perception, then you will make wrong action. So she did not see it as an offense. She saw it as an opportunity. She grabbed the chance to make the best of it. These are some other people. I will not go into their stories, but the point is that they all were in difficulty. They were all, so this is Walt Disney, okay? Walt Disney, when he was bedridden because he had hurt his foot. He stepped on a nail and he hurt his foot so bad that he had sepsis. So he was not even able to get out of the bed, and doctor told him that you can't do anything. You're bedridden for several months and whatnot. He was on multiple medicines, okay? So when he was bedridden, that's when he started doing his cartooning. That's when he came up with all the cartoons, the Mickey Mouse and the Donald Duck and everything. So I mean, basically making use of the time, right? Again, somebody can become very lethargic and fragile, and okay, I cry over the situation, or somebody can make the best of it. What can I do in this situation? These are the cards I've been dealt with, right? How can I play my best game with these cards, right? So don't say, why was I given these cards? That's where people get stuck. Why was I dealt these cards? Forget about why you were dealt these cards. These cards were dealt for a reason, okay, which you don't know. Now play the best game with these cards. Okay, this is what you got. Ian Fleming, if you know, he wrote James Bond novels. So he wrote this wonderful Chitty Chitty Bang Bang when he was also bedridden for a long time. I don't know if you're familiar with Marcel Proust. He wrote In Search of Lost Time when he was bedridden like that with sickness. This is Malcolm X. He same situation. He was also in prison. Anyway, so basically, seemingly terrible situations, these people turned into becoming great, right? They turned it into fuel for becoming great. So you have a choice. You can become depressed, agitated, or you can accept the fate and remember that this is just a small moment in your life, right? It's not your whole life. It's just a portion of your life. Now you can waste that portion, waste that moment of your life, or you can turn it around and use it. Okay, this is a quote. A good person dyes events with his own color and turns whatever happens to his own benefit. Okay, now in Matra Sparshas to Konteya that Mataji recited, Krishna says you have to tolerate both happiness and distress. I understand that you have to tolerate distress, you have to tolerate failures, you have to tolerate disease, right? I gave all the examples of difficulties, diseases, right? How do you have to tolerate happiness? What is there to tolerate? Let's say I have a lot of good fortune, I have a lot of money, I'm born in a very, I have a very high birth, very good family, lot of resources at my disposal, lot of opportunities, right? What is there to suffer in that? So why is Krishna saying tolerate that? What is there to tolerate in that? Who can tell me? If not, I'll give you this example and it'll clarify, and I'll give you an example from scriptures also. Yeah. Right. So what did this guy do? This is Howard Hughes. Okay. he was a business magnate. This was also in before the World War, so it was in 1920s, okay, before the World War II. So his father had this tool company, okay, they used to supply tools for oil drilling and all. So they were like, in that time, multi-million-dollar company, okay. And when his father died, Howard Hughes was 18 years old and he inherited that company, okay. He got like 3/4 of the shares of that company. First thing he did was, first of all, he acquired all the shares so that he became the sole owner of that company. Okay, that was a very big mistake, but he did that. So he was in charge of the entire funds of the company. Okay. This company was in Houston, but what he was very flighty. His mind again was not very much in control. So what did he do? He left Houston, went to LA, and became a film producer. Okay. So he started investing in all these various film projects and basically started losing all this money of his father. Okay. Like millions of dollars at a time. There was, I think, one movie. I don't know if you've heard of Hell's Angels. That's the only movie that worked. Have you heard of it? Somebody said, right? Hell's Angels, yeah.
Yeah, no, DiCaprio had made a movie also, like, based on his character.
Oh, really? Yes,
Yeah.
yes. So you're familiar with him, right?
Yes, yes.
So he's,
He's
go ahead.
so passionate about planes and everything.
Yes, yes.
Build a world's largest plane.
He did. He was a genius.
Yeah.
He was a genius. He had so much talent. He was like a prodigy. So people actually worship him as a hero because he had so much talent. He was an inventor. His father was also an inventor. And he had so much talent, so much skills. So first of all, he squandered a lot of money in this filmmaking business. Then once he got bored with it, he went to the aviation business. And that time World War broke out and his company was commissioned to make two planes. He made the two largest planes, but both the planes stood in the hangar for many years. Each year, they had to pay like millions of dollars to just keep the plane in the hangar. And nobody till date has been able to replicate the design of that plane that he made. Something like that,
Yes,
right?
yes, yes. And it usually carries a lot of people actually to transport people from one place to another place. So his idea was to like save travel, and that's the reason he built like the largest plane in the first place.
Right. But he was such a genius. He had so much God-given talent and skills and money and resources. Okay. So so there are two possibilities in this, right? A more grounded, sober person, a more wise, learned person, what would he have done? He would have used this as an opportunity to help others, right? Maybe support some philanthropic or charitable cause, maybe use it for service, right? See this as a responsibility to do something good in the world, right? Maybe he should have made some positive contributions. He had all the skills. He designed all these planes, but they were just standing. They were just parked in the hangar. They were not even put to any use. And he just kept going from one thing to another. Eventually, squandered his money on multiple marriages and drug addiction, and there were plane crashes and there were car accidents and whatnot. Ultimately, he died a very lonely, miserable death. He squandered, or he almost lost all the funds, all the right, something like that.
He
Lost everything, right? So in this way, and he was just running from trying to get celebrities to act in his movies and multiple different lawyers and different contractors, and he had bought all these properties. Nobody was living in these properties, so very whimsical, uh, very flighty ideas about life with no grounding, with no solid sense of contribution to the world or servitude towards the world at all, right? So this is what happens when you have good fortune. If your mind is not controlled, this is what you will do. Like Mataji was saying, your ego will tell you that I am the enjoyer. You become self-centered. You do not care for the things that have been given to you that other people are actually, will be very thankful, will be very grateful to have, but you're not grateful. You don't have any gratitude, right? So you don't have that service mentality. Same thing with Duryodhan. Okay, this is Duryodhan. He had all these, he was born prince, right? His father is a king. He has all these opulences. He had all these resources. He has all these brothers, and so such a loving family. Yet his mind got stuck to the Pandavas. From very beginning, from the very childhood, his mind started considering Pandavas as a threat, that somehow these are going to take away my kingdom, right? So he made this war that happened. This war was a making of Duryodhan right from his childhood, if you think about it, right? This was a war coming right from his childhood. Like he had started sort of creating a construct for it. So he, poisoning Bhim, then that Lakshagra happened, one after another. And Pandavas had nothing against him. Like they were loving, they were affectionate, they would have shared and cared and whatnot. But his mind was latched onto this, that they are a threat. So he was fearful of them, he was anxious about them, he was always plotting and scheming against them, right? So this is, and then very much intoxicated by power, right? So good fortune, if your mind is not controlled, you can become intoxicated by the power, by the position, by name, fame, by high birth, right? By good looks and whatnot. So you have this inflated sense of self, right? So just like difficulties give you a victim mentality or a very fragile sense of self, the good fortune gives you a very inflated sense of self. So you do not care. You have exploitative mentality. You think everybody should serve me, right? Rather than me serving others. I'm the enjoyer. That this enjoyership mentality, this doership mentality starts coming in. So this is entitlement. So in order for entitlement to not come in, you have to control your mind. And Duryodhan or this other fellow, Howard Hughes, they did not have this controlled mind. What you need is you need values. So Aristotle said this: without virtue and training, it is hard to bear the results of good fortune suitably. So not everybody is fit to receive good fortune, because if you don't have the correct values, which is what Bhagavad Gita gives you, if you don't have this training of your mind, then your mind will run amok with it, right? Your mind will run away with these resources and exploit them rather than use them for any good cause, any good purpose. So this is what tolerating good fortune means. Now I'll give you another example of good fortune. This lady is Catherine Graham. She was the daughter of the person who owned Washington Post. You heard of Washington Post? Topmost paper of our country, right? Newspaper. So she was also born in great fortune. She belonged to a very rich elite family, right? And when her father died, he gave the paper to her, okay, for her to run. Now she was, again, this is very early 1920s. Women did not really own the businesses at that time. So she allowed her husband to run. Her husband, for 30 years, ran the paper into the ground. He was like that Howard Hughes. He was an addict, an alcoholic, an abuser, right? Domestic abuse, whatnot was going on. And he ran that paper into ground, okay? So finally, she actually committed suicide. So then when she inherited this paper, about 30 years after this, okay, at 46 years of age, she inherited the paper. And she started working very soberly, very solemnly, very sincerely, seriously on this paper. She put her head down and started working. But of course, there were a lot of obstacles, okay? I don't know if you have time, but there were so many obstacles, like the board of Washington Post was very averse to taking any risks. They got this confidential documents again about the government, okay, and they did not want to publish it. But she took that risk. She thought about it. She thought, this is a very good information. This is a responsibility to publish these papers in Washington Post, and she published it, okay? Then this was Pentagon Papers, if you're familiar with it. At that time, President Nixon was in administration, okay? And she published, okay, again, going against government, going against all the lawyers' advice and everything, because she thought this was the right thing to do. So her motto was, I will always do the right thing, because I have a duty towards the public, okay? So she published the Watergate, we're familiar with Watergate report that brought down the whole Nixon administration, right? So she published that Watergate report. And so she was in direct conflict with White House. Can you imagine? The topmost office in the world is against you, against your company, against your business. Itna bada panga, right? But in order to do the right thing, she did that. So, and slowly the people started pulling back. The investors started pulling back because they thought this was a problem, right? This was a problem because they're publishing all these documents that are very high risk for the government. And so many investors started pulling back. Somehow there was only one investor who still kept investing in Washington Post. So right now, she's just going through crisis after crisis after crisis. Nobody's supporting her. She's trying to do the right thing. She's trying to do her job and do it to the best of her ability, but nobody's supporting her, right? So difficulty after difficulty, okay? But she kept her head to the ground and kept going. And then since she was doing the right thing, things turned around. And eventually it got revealed that the Pentagon Papers, the Watergate report, everything upheld, and it brought down the whole Nixon administration. And then the one investor that was investing was actually Warren Buffett. So imagine Warren Buffett was the only, if you need one person to invest in your company, it's Warren Buffett. And he was investing in her company. And he took her under his fold to become her mentor in business. So actually he taught her business after that. So Washington Post, every investor had given up on, was like really down, and when her husband had run it to the ground, that business now then climbed to like the topmost paper of the world. So what did she do? She had all kinds of resources, but she kept to her belief, because nobody can take your values, your good training, your wisdom, your beliefs, your choices away, right? So she kept to that as long as I'm doing some good, positive work, I'm, contributing, I will keep at it, right? Even despite all the negative guidance given by everyone. So the people, the world, and your mind will give you negative things, negative perceptions, but as long as, you see so you decide how you see a situation. So this is how, blow after blow she kept getting, but she did not blame others. She did not play victim. She was not crying about it. She did not become an egotist. And this is, I have another example here. These are Pandavas. Same thing, blow after blow, crisis after crisis. If you know Mahabharata, you know that one after another, they went through so many difficulties, right? Queen Kunti talks about that in her prayers. Who knows that verse? Tatra tatra jagat guru. But that's all you need. Vibdasantu tashashvat tatra tatra jagat guru. So basically she says that whenever we had difficulty in our life, that's when Krishna came. So a devotee, a spiritualist always looks for Krishna's presence, because if there is a difficulty, that means Krishna is teaching, wants you to learn some lesson, then this is a divine arrangement, some type of purification is going on. Maybe something you needed to fix in your life. So let's look for that, right? Instead of blaming and playing the victim. So this is again about perception. Much of our suffering comes from wrong perception. To remove that hurt, we have to remove our wrong perception. There is only one cause of unhappiness, the false beliefs you have in your head. Beliefs so widespread, so commonly held. That's what I was saying. This has been rooted into our mentality, into our mind, that something is bad, something is inauspicious, something is abhadra, right? Ei bhala, ei manda. That it never occurs to you to question them. So whenever that happens, automatically everybody assumes that this is depressing, this is difficult. If sickness happens, yes, it is inconvenient, yes, it is uncomfortable, right? But still there is some positive, there is some silver lining always. And then Krishna, we read this verse before, Krishna says you have two choices. You can either degrade yourself with your mind, or you can uplift yourself with your mind. So you saw different examples, right? Some people are degrading themselves with the same mind, and some people have controlled their mind. They have reined in the impulses of the mind, the urges of the mind, and they have full control on it. So they have made the mind their friend. So this is I really like this phrase, rename it and claim it, right? So rename it. So don't call it a problem. Don't call it a difficulty. Call it an opportunity. Call it it is called adversarial growth. In the world, there is a phrase called adversarial growth or post-traumatic growth, meaning when there is trauma, when there is an adversity, there is some growth. So look for that, right? So rename it and claim it. So don't call it a failure, call it a lesson. Don't call it good fortune, call it a responsibility. If you call it, oh, I have good fortune, right? So then you become puffed up. But if you say, no, I actually have responsibility. If I've been given some good fortune, if I've been given some skills, some wealth, some resources in my life, then it is my responsibility that Krishna has given me those resources, that I use them well, right? Not like Howard Hughes, but like Catherine Brown, right? Use them well. Okay, let me give you some examples. So this was mind in context of dualities. Just have a few more examples. Are you enjoying the stories? Yes. Yeah, stories are fun. Okay, I thought you would like the stories, so that's why I have them. So sober person. So Krishna says one who is not disturbed in mind, even amidst the threefold miseries, or elated. So see how he's saying he's not elated and he's not disturbed when there is happiness. He's free from fear, anger, attachment. Is called a sage of steady mind. Some of these people did depict that, right? They were not over elated in happiness or disturbed in difficulty. In the material world, one who is unaffected by whatever good or evil may obtain, neither praising it nor despising it. Whatever good or evil comes, neither praising it nor despising it, is firmly fixed. That is perfect knowledge. Okay, so this is very important to Krishna. And I told you before, why is it important to Krishna? Because once you can get rid of all this external disturbance, जैसे पानी में disturbance होती है, once you can get rid of all of this, then your mind becomes peaceful and you can really internally focus. You can really focus on your sadhana, your harinam, your reading, your chanting, everything. Your spiritual practices become more powerful. You develop this laser sharp focus in those things. Why? Because now your mind is controlled. These things are not going to affect you, right? These external things. So that's why Krishna really wants us to practice this art, and you have to work. It takes work. Okay, this wisdom, this philosophy, this application of Bhagavad Gita, it's a daily work. Okay. I'll give you this example, which will also tell you how a sober person is. Okay. Arthur Ashe, who's a tennis player here? There are some tennis players. Somebody plays tennis, right? Who plays? Kids. Whether he used to play. Okay. So Arthur Ashe in 1950s or 60s was a very famous tennis player. Yeah. So he was taught by his father. Okay, his father taught him that when you are on the court, don't show reaction on your face. Whether you miss a point or you score a point, don't react. He was taught by his father. He practiced this very diligently. So basically, you know what people do, like what players do, right? Athletes, right? They start, if you score a point, they're like jumping, high fiving, and like doing a dance, or right, making noises, and maybe calling names or something to the right, taunting or teasing the opponents, right? They will do all these things on the field. But he said, don't show any reaction. You win, you score a point, good. If you lose a point, don't be like glowering at the referee or calling names to your opponent, or like, being angry, and people start hitting their rackets and things here and there and start like throwing a tantrum on the field, basically. So neither show off nor not act bad, okay, not feel bad. Don't get upset, don't react. So he was very famous for this. He would not react on the field. He would not throw any tantrums. You could not tell. His face was like a mask. You could not tell that he was. And so that means he could never be rattled. Nobody, no opponent or anyone, because in those times people used to throw racial slurs, right? Especially the opponents would throw racial slurs. They would try to disarm you, try to tease you, and break your flow, break your steadiness. But he would stay calm and composed and steady, and did not care what anybody's saying, did not care if you got a point or failed a point. So he was very famous for this. Nobody could rattle him. Similarly, this guy, Joe L. Lewis, he was a boxer, and he was actually called ring robot. So he would make a robot in the ring. Again, this in boxing, actually, it's very important that you don't show much reaction, because it used to disarm people. They did not know what your next move will be, right? Because you're like a robot. So it like poker face. So they did not know what your next move will be, what can harm you, what can affect you. He would be, whether he would just focus on the play. Okay. And where was his energy? He was not spending his energy on celebrating or throwing tantrums. Both of these people, both of these players, they were focusing their energy on just playing the game well. Let me play my next point to the best of my ability, right? So they were just focused on playing. They were using their energy, not all these shenanigans, not these external things, but in just playing that game well. So this is a sober person, right? Use your energy in action. In what can I do? What is my next task at hand? Train your mind to not become so, upset or so elated. Krishna is saying, don't become so disturbed, so happy, or so dejected at all these things that happen in the world. Whereas we just let ourselves go in both the situations, right? So I'm just giving you these examples to show you that in the world also, these things are needed. Okay. So control your mind. Okay. I'll skip this one. Everybody's familiar with this lady, for sure. right? Angela Merkel. So you know that, right? So German politician, right? She's Chancellor of Germany, and she is considered. So she served 3 terms, and she's considered the most influential lady in the whole world. That brought, that was like a force to reckon with in Europe, like in modern Europe, all the peace endeavors, all the freedom. So a force that brought peace and freedom in modern Europe. She was the harbinger of that. She was the one that achieved all that. So I think her term was till 2021. I believe she finished her 3rd term. So long time she served. With her, it is described that she was like she is the embodiment of a sober person. Very plain, very not flashy. Okay, she's complete. Like think about a celebrity. Like she's complete antithesis of a celebrity. She was completely grounded, very quiet, very modest, always very reserved, right? Not very fiery. Huh? She did not have any interest in expansion or world domination and all these things, right? She was not power hungry. She never fought, like really spoke for herself or about her. She was never really fighting for the, jaise kursi ke liye ladte na, she never fought for any of that. So she was not really typical head of state that you picture. That's why nobody could rattle her. Nobody could affect her. She was always just focused. Her energy was always focused on what is the action to do, what is the task to do. I also think of Narendra Modi a little bit like that. I did not bring his example because I don't know what everybody's politics is. So I decided to bring a well-known, another non-Indian figure that everybody's may consider as a very embodiment of sobriety. Okay. So in fact, there is incident in which our dear Mr. Putin, Vladimir Putin, he came to attend a meeting and he had this very large hunting dog with him. And he knew that Angela Merkel is not a dog lover, like she doesn't like dogs, okay? So he brought the dog in the meeting and he just let the dog loose just to intimidate her, okay? She did not even flinch. She did not even, nothing. But later on, she joked about it, said something. But what I'm saying is that there may be people that try to rattle you, disturb you, right? Take away your peace, take away your tranquility, but just stay detached. So these are the points. This is what describes her: very rational, very objective, not let emotions or excessive thoughts control you, right? Be dispassionate, very clear-headed, very organized, like that. So become a master of mind like these people, okay? So this is the function of mind. Mind has 3 functions. I've listed 2 functions here. I've listed thinking and feeling. There are thinking, feeling, and 3rd function is willing. Thinking, willing, and feeling. So thoughts, emotions, and desires, right? So thinking and feeling I've listed here. Mind will, so thinking means thoughts. Mind will over amplify your thoughts, which means you are likely to make what is called mole out of a mountain hill, right? No. Making mountain out of a mountain hill. Okay. I'll be done in a few minutes. I think it's an hour now. Okay.
What did you say? Willing
and feeling, right? Thoughts, emotions, and desires, right? So thinking, thoughts, what can mind do? It can make you overthink, right? It creates these imagination. Just like किसी ने कुछ बोल दिया, right? Now you create stories about it. You don't know anything, but you just create stories about it, right? That's how gossips and rumors start, and then you keep augmenting and amplifying it, right? So imagine you let the mind run amok, mind run wild with imagination. So you start overthinking things. You make mountains out of a molehill, which tha nahi, but you made mountains out of it, right? So that's mind's function. It over amplifies your thoughts. Secondly, feeling or emotion. So it also creates unnecessary emotions like excessive anger, fear, right? Feeling depressed or anxious, anxiety, over emotional, right? So the people that are sober, that are masters of their mind, they do not give into these unnecessary thoughts and unnecessary emotions. Okay, so overthinking, over feeling, they don't do these things. This guy, I'll give you this. I think this is my last example, probably. Yeah, this is my last. So he was also okay. He was a baseball player. So he was the first black baseball player in Major League Baseball. Okay. Now, completely opposite to those other 2 players, the boxer and the tennis player, right? They were very controlled, very sober, right? Poker face, steely mask, like robots. He was very explosive. He had explosive anger. Okay. Now this is before he became the first major baseball league player. So before that, he was serving in military. Okay, he was one of the military officers, and I think that was 1940s or something. But he had no restraint on himself. Okay, he was always very agitated. So you know how people like in those times there was so much racism, there was so much mistreatment of black people. So like if you ride in the bus, then you would be told to ride in the back of the bus, right? Remember Rosa Parks? So ride in the back of the bus. So he would pick a fight with the driver, and they'll get into so much fight that he will get arrested. So he had too many arrests, you know, too many fights, and he'll fight on behalf of his friends if somebody said anything. Even if somebody didn't said anything, he would just read too much into it and just go into these fits of anger, right? So he was completely opposite, always arguing, always calling names and hurling obscenities at people, always feeling like a victim, like because I'm black, I'm being mistreated. So always wearing this on his shoulder, right? That I'm black and I'm being mistreated, and always that has become like his whole identity. Okay. So then but he used to play baseball. So he was being scouted by this Major League Baseball. And the manager of that, his name was Branch Rickey. Yes, Branch Rickey. He approached him. He said, I will make you the first black baseball player, okay? And you are very good. You will become the best. But I want you to do one thing for me. I'm going to train you in this. He said, what did he say? He said, do you have the guts not to fight back? Okay. Do you have the guts? I know everybody has guts to fight back. Do you have the guts not to fight back? That's what he said. And he trained him. He created these situations where you go into the restaurant and the waiter will be rude to you. He will not serve you because you're black. Okay. You go to a hotel and the hotel manager is not giving you room because you're black. So the manager created these situations and had him practice restraint, because he said, if you don't do this, you're not going to play well. You will be thrown out after just a couple games because you'll be picking fights with the opponents, and you have these are white people you are playing against. You have to have a lot of restraint. You have to be bigger than them, right? You have to be better but also bigger than them. So do you have the guts not to fight back? He trained him in this. Okay. And he trained him so much that actually he was really being abused on the field, but he will not say anything. He was the perfectly sober, calm, complete opposite to what he had been just a few months back or a few years back. Some people would deliberately try to rattle him. They will throw on his heel to break his Achilles tendon, and he got hurt. Everything. He would not say anything. He did not expect any apology. Nothing. He played so many games. He became the topmost player. Right? Nobody knows about the opponents, but he became the topmost player because he practiced so much restraint. So Krishna says Krishna also wants us to practice this tolerance, this tolerating the provoking situations in life, right? Yes, there are all these disadvantages we have, and we will be provoked. People will treat us unfairly, right? There are boundaries you create. There are steps you take so people can't keep taking advantage. But so there is a balance between how much you tolerate and how much you retaliate. But at least if you retaliate, it should be a very thoughtful response. It should not be an uncontrolled, explosive rage like he had before, right? And especially not when you are, like, let's say in your profession or in your game or in sensitive situations like that. Like if you started throwing fits like this, tantrums like this in your profession, will you be able to hold down a job? No, because there are people that will mistreat you on the job, right? There are people that will take advantage of you. Maybe boss will, but not every time. You're not going to start throwing fits and go into these rages. So this is what that manager taught him, that this is your profession. This is where you can make a mark here. You have an opportunity to do something bigger than what you're fighting for. All these things, this is not getting anywhere. Like this is not even like, civil disobedience movement. Like this is not just rage. This is not helping even the cause of Black people at all. Right? By just picking up fights with white people, that's not just helping anybody's cause. So you need to actually, if you want to do something good for Black people, then you need to become best in this sport. That will bring you up. more than just picking fights randomly on the streets with people, right? So make a name for Black people like this, not by random fights. So Krishna says these verses. Who knows these verses? 60, actually 62 मैंने लिखा नहीं इसमें. Yes. संघात संजयते कामा कामा क्रोधो विजायते क्रोधात् भवति सम्मोहः सम्मोहात् स्मृति विभ्रमा स्मृति भ्रंशात् बुद्धिनाशो बुद्धिनाशात् प्रणश्यति. And the next one is रागद्वेष विमुक्तेस्ते विषयान्निन्द्रियश्चरन् आत्मवश्यैर्विधेयात्मा प्रसादम् अधिगच्छति. And the next one you probably know. प्रसादे सर्वदुःखानां हानिरास्योपजायते प्रसन्ना चेतसो हि आशु बुद्धिपर्यवतिष्ठते. That, so this is all that they're saying, that anger is not good. Anger, say complete delusion arises, it confuses you, it causes bewilderment of memory, intelligence is lost. So rather be free from these type of attachments and aversion, right? Attachments and aversion, control yourself. And then you can get the complete mercy of the Lord. And then the intelligence is soon well established. So this is, I think that's pretty much what I have. So this is what he taught him. Do you have the guts not to fight back? Rein in your mind. Don't rise to the bait, right? Practice the restraint. Tolerate the indifference, sabotage by people, persecution, provocation. In fact, not only just tolerate, but expect it. Count on it. In the world when you're living, there are all kinds of people. So count on it that there will be some sabotage, some neglect, some indifference, right? It's okay. Count on it, expect it. Don't let emotions or anger derail you, because that's a recipe for failures. He wanted him to succeed. So he said, if you don't want to fail, then don't do any of these things. So this is about perception, how you see a situation, right? So you just change the viewpoint. So always try to train your mind to look at a situation from a different angle. The more training we do this, keep doing, keep training the mind to look at a situation from a different viewpoint. Okay, so you change your manosthiti, your mentality, and then automatically you can deal with the externals better. So perception creates false reality. Okay. And then people see what they want to see, and what people want to see never has anything to do with the truth, right? So it's not real. Nothing is really real in this material world. So this is the concepts that we covered. Just a summary. We talked about mind's role, how it makes us perceive things, right? Good or in a good or bad way, good or bad perception. So how that helps to manage dualities, right? You change your perception about the duality, look for learning opportunity, right? Equanimity, we talked about. Equanimity means what? Staying even keel, like staying sober in different situations. Sober person we talked about, we took some examples. Entitlement, right? Don't let the good fortune or the successes make you an egotist, make you a self-centered, arrogant person. Tolerance, we just talked about tolerance, how one should tolerate. So mind has role in all of these. And remember that if you can quieten the mind, if you can make it peaceful, if you can change your perception into good perception, then you can hear the guidance of Super Soul. So as long as you quieten the mind, you don't start, looking for problems everywhere, then you can hear the Super Soul's guidance from within. Okay. Yes. I think I'm done here. So we talked about this. What was this thing? Life is all about perception, positive versus negative. Whichever you choose will affect and more than likely reflect your outcome. The top was saying where the mind goes or the head goes, the body follows. So where the head goes, the body follows. Where the mind goes, the body will go. So you have to really control your mind. It is not the things in themselves that trouble us, but our opinions of the things, right? So how do you see a situation? How do you see a thing? That is the problem. So reject the wrong perceptions that are created by the mind. Okay, I can skip this. Ultimately, I just wanted to talk about this last point is that in any difficulty, the devotees are dependent on the Lord completely. But if you do this training of the mind, then the Lord will send guidance from within, from externally, right? In the form of Guru, Sadhu, Shastra, in the form of devotees. So Krishna says, right? Sarv dharman parityaja mamekam sharanam praja aham tvam sarva papebhyo mokshayishami ma shucha. This we did. This also did. Bad perceptions exaggerate the problem. They create misinformation. So look at it from a different angle. So don't create all these horror stories in your mind, right? Don't create problems in your mind. Change your vision and change your understanding of this world. That's all I have to share. Hare Krishna. Thank you everyone for listening carefully. Please let me know if there are any questions.
Yeah, I would like actually people to interact and have some thoughts you have during this. I'm sure there's a lot of things that we discuss. Some thoughts would have come to your mind, and I'm sure there are things that need some clarification. So please bring them up so that we can have a discussion that you wish for a few minutes.
It's a difficult topic. It's not easy to look at the positives of every situation, right? In duality, it's not easy. So it takes a lot of training, a lot of work. So I'm surprised that you're able to digest that information, and it's hard for me at least.
So how does one
Then
Hare Krishna. So coming like about discussing about tolerance, how does one, not become in day-to-day situations? Like we go through so many different situations. It could be in relationships, it could be at work, it could be at home, it could be family. Where the tolerance, you're not like a doormat. And how does one kind of
हमारी भी
differentiate?
तो कोई respect है, हाँ? हमारी भी कोई self esteem है, हाँ?
So if you read this Bhagavad Gita teachings in mind, and you just don't tolerate things, in all the humility, does that not kind of sometimes send wrong signals to the opposite party, person, situations?
Yeah, so that's what I think I mentioned very briefly,
Yeah.
just one line. It's a very big topic, but the point is there is a very fine balance, right? You're not, okay. So you are not going to give people opportunity to keep hurting you or disturbing your peace, right? So you have to have some boundaries. So you have to see, so forgiveness and tolerance is a very, it's a very delicate balance. You have to see what is the problem, what is the offense, right? What is the harm being caused by the person or by the situation, and who is it, right? Who is it? How long has it been going on, right? All these things you look at. Is it possible if you forgive and move on, then this thing will not happen again? But let's say if it is repetitive, then maybe you need to create some boundaries, right? So it depends on how much boundaries you create, how much, if it is some, let's say, just a slight on your ego, right? You're just going down the street, some random person says something to you. Do you need to retaliate to that? No, right? It was one and done. It's, you don't know that person. It was a stranger. A slight has been done. They called you some name, whatever, right? You walk, move on. They move on. You don't need to retaliate. You don't need to keep picking battles, right? You have to pick your battles very wisely. So basically, what you are asking is which battles to focus on, which not to. So those slights on ego, personal things, small here and there, you don't need to pick fights on those. But then if something is a very repetitive, disturbing behavior to you, where you think you're being treated as a doormat and it's really hurting you, harming you, for that person and for yourself, you don't want to give an opportunity for them to keep hurting you, because it's not good for them either. And it's not good for you either to keep getting hurt, right? So then you have to create some boundaries, right? So it's a balance, and then depends on who that person is. If that's a very close family member, let's say spouse, you can't break off the relationship. So you would have to tolerate more. But if it's somebody else outside, right? I don't know, like anyone at work or something. Again, depends on how much dealings you have with them. But if it's somebody you don't need necessarily to maintain a relationship, maybe you need to step away, withdraw, because it's not good. Your interactions are not good, right? You need to step away because it's harmful for them and for you, right? So you can create boundaries and withdraw. But with husband and all, you cannot withdraw. I know that people used to have Coke Bhavan mein jaake Rani roti thi. So you would have to try more. You would have to try harder. You may have to bring someone else to counsel, right? So, to counsel both the parties, and maybe you need to make a compromise. So it really depends on who it is, how much interactions are there, how much and how often this problem is happening. So again, with husband also, if it's a very significant problem, abuse or physical harm or something, that's not something that can be tolerated repetitively, right? But if it is verbal, or if it is just some little bit of indifference or something they're not aware of, maybe you can bring a counselor in, or maybe you can talk and have a heart to heart with them and stuff like that. So you have to balance and see. Yeah. But these things in profession, on the field, right? They are very just egoistic slights. They can be ignored. They can be neglected. Not every single thing needs to attack your mind, needs to become a very big forefront in your mind. लोग क्या करते हैं कि हर चीज को बहुत बड़ा बना लेते हैं, right? So we don't need to focus on every single thing and make it a very big part of our life. Nice question, Madhuri. I've struggled with this, but yeah, it's difficult.
So nothing, just a comment, like the 4 questions, both by His Holiness Vaisika Maharaj. One of the questions, what is the lesson?
Yes.
So.
And the other question is also the one I mentioned, how can I serve?
How can I serve?
Yeah.
Yes, so.
What is my
Yeah,
purpose?
so.
Then the fourth one also kind of mentioned,
Mhm.
she said where the head goes,
Yes.
so where
The
where
body
is my-
follows.
where's my energy going right now?
Attention.
So all these things, because so really ground yourself in a situation. What is my purpose? So like in this guy's story, the black guy who was a baseball player, right? So he realized, okay, my purpose is I want to become the topmost black baseball player, and I want to restore the respect for black people, right? So this is not the way to do it. So then, okay, maybe I have to tolerate some more, have to practice some restraints. This is my purpose. If you have a higher purpose, then you can, ground yourself, control your mind to achieve that better.
Anyone else with any questions or thoughts about this? Yes.
So first of all, Mataji, very impressive session, because not only for this, it really helps in a career as well. So far I have heard about the time management, that we can manage the time. And the second thing is priority management, that we can manage the priority, but I haven't heard about the mind management. So it is very impressive. But the question is that we know that how to treat the mind, the way you have explained. But what are the top 4 things that we can do in a daily lives? I know it's a process, it's not going to happen immediately. And I'll give you the example. When I was taking the notes, my wife think that I was on the Facebook, and she said pay attention. I said
Oh, really?
so, and I said that is your perception. So I just applied.
See, wrong perception, right? So her understanding of your situation is that you're on the phone. See, we never know the reality, right? Yeah.
So my question is that what are the top 4 things that we should do that in a daily lives that can help with the mind?
So I was just sharing this. I keep sharing this actually many times because I have felt this more and more in last couple years. Life gives you, I've said this in class many times, life gives you many opportunities to apply Bhagavad Gita in life. Okay. Every day, multiple times, almost every few minutes, if you are aware of the knowledge, you will see this is an opportunity to apply Bhagavad Gita. Apply Bhagavad Gita means to practice control of mind, to practice restraint of mind. Okay. So let's say I'm seeing 40 patients in the office. Every patient gives me an opportunity to apply Bhagavad Gita, right? Every interaction is an opportunity to apply Bhagavad Gita. Then I'm talking to, let's say, 5 nurses in between. I'm talking to my surgery nurse. I'm talking to in between Nārangi Prabhu calls, let's say, right? So every interaction you practice, you train, you very deliberately, very consciously think of what you are saying, how you're dealing with this person, right? And try to apply this knowledge of Bhagavad Gita, of being tolerant, loving, forgiving, right? Patience, all these things. See if that's one thing that I'm trying to do very deliberately, very consciously, right? Understanding the people. Okay, this person, tends to get, let's say, offended, right, easily, or let's say this person is very funny or very humorous. So how do I interact with this person in such a way that I can, connect with them properly? So very deliberately do all the things in your life. Number 2, I've said this many times also, I do journaling. I practice journaling. Every day make time for journaling. Because what that does is that grounds you, that brings your mind in your control, that reins your mind, okay? So think about whatever the problem, whatever is foremost in your mind right now, right? Whatever is bugging you, bothering you, write about it, various aspects of it, how to deal with it. What is my purpose? What is my service in this? Can I serve, let's say, can I serve in this situation in some way, right? I'm going through a difficulty. What could be Krishna trying to teach me? How can I improve myself? Is there a lesson in this? Whatever. So whatever is going on, it may not be anything going on. Then still write down your thoughts. There is a very nice book called The Artist's Way by Julia Cameron. So she talks about something called morning pages. Okay, morning pages basically means it's called mind drain or brain drain. Just write whatever comes to your mind. Don't think too much. Just keep writing. Okay, that empties your mind of all the unnecessary thoughts, emotions, and desires on the page. So empty your all this mind, and then whatever is left over is very distilled, very condensed, helpful, meaningful things are left. Wasteful things you have put on the paper. Okay, it happens spontaneously. Like you will keep writing, and all the wasteful stuff will just go on the paper. Whatever is left is just very helpful, meaningful, useful things for you. So it's called morning pages. Morning pages is her concept that she came up with in her book. The book talks about many other things. It's called The Artist's Way. But morning pages is a very solid concept that is being practiced by a lot of journalers in the world right now. So those are the two things I do very deliberately, apply Bhagavad Gita in daily life, very consciously, and secondly, journaling.
If I can add something from what I have heard from the acharyas.
Take the mic.
Just to add, like from what I have heard from the acharyas, is like between stimulus and response. The time is a pause. So if a stimulus comes to us in any like situations, whatever it may be, and before you respond, because that's when the mind will play the very well that way.
Stop. Yeah.
Just
Gaur
stop
Gopal
and-
Prabhu talks
Yes.
about it in his book.
Just pause.
Yeah, it's very nice. And of course, we practice mantra meditation. So you're connecting to the Lord through Harinam, right? So that's also a tool for mind control because now you're surrendered to a higher authority who's in charge of your faculties.
I think the point you mentioned, life keep coming to your mind because sometimes we have that perceptions for different people in our mind already, right? And that was I was talking to my wife that it's already there. So how can you take it out? And I think that's writing it for you.
Everything I realize, everything that is happening in our life is a matter of perception only. Okay, let's say, just giving an example. After this class, somebody tells me, Navya tells me that your class was not good. Just saying. Somebody else tells me, let's say Mataji tells me it was very good. Is this anything real? No. This is just a matter of that person's mind playing with your mind. Soul to soul, there is nothing happening. This is only mind to mind. Her mind, wants something different from the class, which she did not get. So her perception is that it was not good. Her mind got something which, according to her perception, this was a good class. So what is this? Just a play of perceptions. So should I get hurt by one and get happy by other? My mind should be controlled to neither get hurt by one nor get happy by other, because I should know that this is just the way this person's mind sees it or expected it or wanted it. This person's mind wanted it differently. So one liked it, one did not like it. So everything is a play of perception, whether it's people, whether it's situations, whether it's comments, whatever is going on, it's just happening. It's all happening in your mind.
And also a very practical takeaway for me also is coming back to the 2.14 verse that in the Bible or Christians say this too shall pass. So whatever situation is there, we talked about we have to for the good also we need to think like that, but at least for the bad we need to think this too shall pass. And Prabhupada actually said it was one of the lines that really touched me, and I really try to meditate upon it. Is he mentions this very clearly in a lecture that nobody wants bad things to come to their life, right? Nobody wants adversities to come in their life, but they come. So similarly, you don't have to do anything. You don't have to struggle to get the adversities. You don't have to struggle too much to get the good things
But
also.
can you quote from Shastras who says it in the scriptures? That you don't have to, just like you don't struggle for happiness, just like you don't struggle for distress, it comes of its own accord. Happiness will also come of its own accord.
Then when you were talking about tolerance, I was thinking the picture of the Pandavas. I was thinking of Bharat Maharaj. I thought it's Bharat Maharaj. But yeah, he is also exemplifies tolerance. How everybody was against him, was thinking wrong about him. Even his father died thinking that he was in the wrong and he was, on the side of Kekai. I mean, he had nothing to do with it. It was all perception. Right? But, he tolerated all that and he saw what is the lesson and what can I do? How can I serve? So he went to Lord Ram, thinking, to bring him back. So
yeah, perfect example. He's like the embodiment of tolerance. Actually, he tolerate. Bharat का मतलब ये जिसने इतना भार उठाया था अपने consciousness पे. In difficulties, just a side note, devotees have this. So few things that they think about. First of all, they think that I was going to get more reaction, simple reaction than what I have been given. Krishna has decreased or diminished the reaction that I was supposed to get, right? Let's say I fell down the stairs, but maybe I was supposed to fall from like a 5-story building, but he just made me fall from the stairs because he has minimized a lot of my sinful reactions. So he's actually merciful that he's only giving me this much and not that much. Then, secondly, they always, of course, if there is some lesson in it, there is some purification happening because world is a place of dualities for a reason. That we have to go through these ups and downs for our purification. Some purification had to happen. Maybe it was my anger, maybe it was my pride, maybe it was whatever. Something was supposed to get purified, supposed to get nullified. Something that Krishna wants me to fix through this situation. Okay, so that's learning. The third thing they do is, this is also an opportunity to take shelter of Krishna more. Okay, so hold his hand tighter, harder. This is not the time when you give up on him. This is the time when you not start blaming him, but rather start taking his shelter more seriously, sincerely. Okay.
don't blame the instrument of your karma. So that's one thing that I think Avanti Brahman says that that basically if something or somebody is doing I'm perceiving that I'm getting this, somebody did something to you, you said, but it is not that person's fault. We think that this is just the reaction to my own karma. So don't blame the instrument. This person is just the instrument. So it's like you don't blame the knife. The knife doesn't get the life sentence for a murder, right? It's not. So this person is not. It's just the instrument for my own karma. Or so that's another thing.
Okay. Thank you for sharing everything. Prabhuji, you were sharing something.
No, I think I got the answer to your matter. You said that pause thing.
Okay. Yeah.
Okay. Another nice point was about tolerance of happiness. And because usually we always focus on the negative
Difficulty.
right? Like how does one tolerate like adversities? That is nice. How does one tolerate happiness?
Yeah. So remember that if you're comfortable, health is okay, money is okay, family, social life, country, there is no war going on, no terrorist attacks, nothing. Things are relatively, in this world, it can never be good. It can only be just like medium, right? So just relatively comfortable. So if it is relatively comfortable, then let's serve, let's contribute, let's make a difference, let's fulfill the purpose and take shelter of Krishna seriously and sincerely at this time. Because if the health goes down or you're not in a good position anymore, let go from the job or whatever can happen, right? A difficulty and reversal, then it'll be hard. So while going is good, the good gets going or something like that.
Okay. Yeah, we'll do Aarti.
Okay. Yes. Thank you, everyone. Bhagavad Gita ki jai.